welcome to the Fragments Silicon Reviews. 4 reviews up this week. We are clearing the queue since the holidays are a couple weeks away. That isn't to say that stuff isn't already lined up for the new year, but some of these games have been floating around in the pile for a while, and it's time to fulfill some obligations. Anyway, first up is a game called Stamp Boy. Now, when they say stamp, they mean stomp. We're not exactly sure why they went with stamp. It could be something with the translation, because this game is a Chinese-made product.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And according to the research that the Galaxy has provided, stamp is something that came from the Chinese characters.
Yeah, it's a translation of that, and from my experience with Japanese stuff, at least, sometimes they use stamp when a native English speaker would use stomp, and it's not technically wrong. It's just not the common usage.
Right. Once again, it could be one or the other. But stamp is not inappropriate. It's like, because there's a lot of jumping. This is a 2D platformer. You do stomp on enemies, although I wouldn't say it's the defining feature of Stamp Boy, ironically enough, because this is a puzzle platformer. Not a heavy one, but you're still trying to figure out things, and you are trying to get a key that opens a door.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to compare it to anything, Mario versus Donkey Kong really comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
that's an interesting comparison.
Yeah, it's like if you ever played that, or the DK game on the Game Boy. Shockingly reminiscent of those games. I mean, obviously nowhere near as good. That's not a dent to this game so much as, Nintendo has some of the craziest high polish in all of video gaming. I mean, with Stamp Boy here, the gameplay, the puzzles, everything here is a bit basic, functional, serviceable, but, you're not going to be stretching your brain trying to figure out any of the levels here.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be making any amazing jumps. You're not really going. You're not going to be doing Mario stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how much this game is drawing from that well, the game does look very much like a Mario game. Which is, I mean,
if Mario's hat was an entire apple,
something like that. But even though you can see the Mario DNA in the game, it's got its own distinct feel. It's like a heavier feel, if you will. It's
not like they just filed the serial numbers off of Mario.
Yeah. He's not as mobile as Mario.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because, in spite of the name, it's really not going for that kind of focus.
How many heights can you jump?
Jeez. That depends. You can jump. It's not so much his jump height, it's his movement physics feel kind of weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
But once again, none of this is bad. It's just, the word I keep coming to is basic, utilitarian. Thankfully the graphics, they're a bit above what I've encountered in terms of super indie platforms. And I use that word because this is not just small for a platforming game. This is pretty small in terms of an indie title. Here's a hint: its price is $2. Even though it's $2,
Well,
there's
they do say that everything is handcrafted and it's not random, so I guess that's how many levels they had time and energy to build.
there's 4 worlds, about 8 levels each, 7 regular levels, and then a boss encounter.
Mm-hmm.
The boss encounters, they're all right. They're nothing special. It's like, honestly, I think the best boss battle was the first one, if only because that one actually did something a bit out of the box. The rest of them, it was pretty much stomp the bad guy in the head 3 times, collect key.
Mm-hmm.
The first one you had to deal with spikes. You had to get the B character, like the I don't know why he's named B, even though he's not, since all of the other bosses are food products and they are named after food products. But you had to get them into the spikes. Not too difficult, but once again, it was something that stood out in this particular game. Anyway, getting back to the graphics are probably the most impressive part of the game because it's all hand-drawn. I know that's an art style that that we encounter quite a bit on this program, but usually when we deal with hand-drawn platforming games, they're a lot larger in scope, both in terms of like content, intent, pricing, but this one, it's like a platformer on this level I would usually expect to be made of more, say, pre-made assets. Once again, we have reviewed platformers like this. It's no disservice to them so much, but hand-drawn is always going to be a bit more impressive in my book because you have to work to make this.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, that's not to suggest that people don't work with the pre-made stuff, but you bought that versus all of this going on here. Unless proven otherwise, the people who made this made it all. Anyway, the music, appropriately chiptune-y. It's what I would designate typical platformer, cheery platformer music.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, nothing amazing, but nothing that will grate on your ears either. Let's see, last ability. You'll probably blow through this game in about 2 to 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's a very short game. It's a very small game. When that's not necessarily bad. It's just, if you're expecting even like an 8-hour affair, it's not there. It just isn't. But I think that's a thing. I think that's a tick in its favor because, this game doesn't overlast its welcome. I mean, as I said, the gameplay isn't bad, but I don't think I would have enjoyed this game had it gone on for like 10 levels, 10 worlds, or something like that. I think it's like, I think it lengths complement its ambition. It's like not everything has to be the length of War and Peace.
Being sped read.
Even that, but anyway, and once again, that comes to price. As previously mentioned, this clocks in at $2. More than a fair price, but honestly, like I'd say that this game could have gotten away with as high as $5. Like,
right.
Mm-hmm.
But at $2, easy purchase. Like, even if you don't like it too much, it's $2. We're in cup of coffee territory here with this. And overall, with the rating, I'd actually give it a 7. You know, really solid game for what you're getting in terms of price. Once again, doesn't last too long, but you know, everything works well. It's just if you're expecting a lot from Stamp Boy, you're not going to get it. But I think, you know, given the scope and especially the price point, I don't know how much people would be expecting from a $2 game. Honestly, I wasn't expecting a lot since, you know, we've played games along this price point before, and let's just say they didn't come out nearly as well.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Yeah. Any other thoughts from the crew here?
Not really.
I like
really
the
either.
helmet.
Yeah, I enjoyed the game overall, and yeah, the 2 hours I played through it. It was fun. Some frustrating moments, but it was a fun game. It was worth the I bought it in a Steam sale. I forgot how much it was, but it's worth the price.
Okay. So that'll about do it for Stamp Boy here. Be sure to tune in after the break, as the Golics will be covering Rocket Wars for the Nintendo Switch.